what's next for the DCU? Well, here it is, a story. Here we are. Superman director James Gunn on his next DCU project. I've got 4 different things I could do. Now, the story from comicbookmovie.com shows the image we've seen before of Krypto and Superman on the moon looking at Earth. I actually like this. I like this. So
yeah, I like it.
Yeah, but where is he?
on the moon.
On the moon.
That's not how it would look if he was on.
Yeah, he's way too close. He might be on the Watchtower, which is an orbiting satellite around Earth.
It's not an asteroid.
All right. All you scientists here. I like this image. I think it shows it's a very hopeful story. It's going to be hopeful, not dark, dour, everything. I mean, there was a period there where everything was, well, this is the Empire Strikes Back of insert movie name, right? Everything had to be dark and nihilistic. And I think things are changing. I think audiences want optimism. I think they want hope for the future. So
we're not being Debbie Downers. He's being a little selfish. He's only picking and choosing what he wants. Now, did you hear that he said everything is canon from Peacemaker except for meeting the Justice League? He's only kept the actors. We have all reason to believe.
Okay, skeptical. I get it because DC has had so many false starts. But if you would, Badger, get into the story, I'll scroll down. Can you read that?
Yeah, DC Studios CEO James Gunn, co-CEO rather, still isn't sure which DCU project he'll direct after Superman, but he's not short of a few options. While speaking to Collider, Gunn reiterated that he is heavily involved with the upcoming projects Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, and Lanterns, but has yet to decide which movie or series he'll step back behind the camera for. I've got like 4 different things that I could do, and I'm going to kind of jump back and forth between those things. I'm going to see which one really speaks to me, and that's the one I'm going to do. One of the things that I've tried to make clear to people from the beginning is that everything in DC is going to be based on the writers. Until we have a screenplay that I'm totally happy with, that movie is not going to get made, no matter what it is.
Okay. Continue through the quotes underneath this.
Sure. Gunn helmed episodes of Peacemaker Season 2 along with Brad Anderson, Rosemary Rodriguez, and Jody Hill. And he also confirmed that multiple other R-rated projects are being discussed, but the story is what will ultimately inform the rating. It's not about testing out to see if this thing works. It's just about telling a story. If a story is going to be R-rated, we're totally okay with that. If it's going to be PG, PG-13, or G, I don't care. Whatever is worthy of the story, that's what we're going to do.
Stop there.
Credits,
that's those are the quotes. What are your thoughts on this?
It's a better direction than what we've had before.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes. I'll just say I'm excited that he's really focused on the script. And I think when he says those words, he's kind of trolling Marvel in a sense, because they would greenlight. Obviously, look at the Blade debacle, right? They don't have a Blade movie. It would seem to be the easy one, right? This character that is beloved. Mahershala Ali, I think that's great casting. But he says we're focused on the script. I think the way he's approaching this is a reaction to how things went down at Marvel. What does everyone else think?
Oh, obviously, I think.
I'll just say he talked about Guardians 3 that he didn't really get a lot of direction from Marvel Studios, and I think he earned that. And so and I'll also say that of all the superhero directors, comic book movie directors, James Gunn has the winning track record. Everyone else, you can kind of, they've got their flaws. So go ahead, Dante.
And his ratings comment was a great troll against a lot of fans that have just been doubling down on the very thing that's been actually causing DC to suffer, which is make everything like Batman, make everything close as possible to an R rating, regardless of whether it serves the story or not. I mean, I think that's a fun little aspect because he's basically hitting both companies, below the belt at this point. Marvel wanting to do Blade and realize, well, if you're going to go vampire and violent, you're going to hit this with the NCAA, with the ratings boards, the MPAA. And then if you go Zack Snyder's route, which is like getting as close to possible to being as violent, gory, and erotic as you possibly can, but not delivering on anything that makes it entertaining, yeah, you're going to be disappointing everybody. So I like the fact that he's not holding back in regards to who he's criticizing in the broad sense of things.
Yeah, I was going to say that I think that, we have to remember when he worked for Marvel or the MCU, he was probably the only director there who read comic books, who knew the stories, who knew the characters. And he had to sit there during all these goofy phases, right, and watch things like Miss Marvel get made and the Eternals get made, right, knowing that the people making these things never read one book. He had to be the one guy. He was the one guy who knew all the stories and had to watch all this play out. So I'm sure this was a huge dig at Marvel, because the fact that he's the main guy at DC now, he can focus on telling the stories that he knows the fans will appreciate.
And also the ones he wants. And I'll just say real quickly, he has set himself up for the hardest possible job, because he's already set himself up to have a Batman that's 10 years in and the lanterns that are already. So I'm saying he's already set up a bunch of parts in motion, which was sort of the criticism the first time they did this. That being said, if anyone could do this, I think it's him. I think Chris will be very happy with the direction of Superman if it's true that this is a Superman that's hopeful and doesn't kill. In a world where superheroes do kill, it'll be great. It's just that he set up so many moving parts at the same, instead of just giving one good Superman, that I can see why, including myself, everyone has a little bit of nervous trepidation. And he's just picking and choosing what he wants instead of what might truly be best and what truly fans want. Because I didn't know a lot of people were asking for Guy Gardner on the Justice League, but here we go.
Well, I knew things were in good hands when he said that he's basing Superman off of Justice League New Frontier, which is an amazing book. If you guys haven't read it, go out and read it.
Darwin Cook, yeah.
It's an amazing Justice League book. And he's basing the whole DCU on that. So I'm like, okay, this guy knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. Let's just trust him.
Yeah. It's also going to be refreshing to have role models in Hollywood stories again, because that has been basically a fading idea for the last decade or so. Like, parents would have no problem with their kids liking superheroes so long as the superheroes behave like superheroes. And ideally, of course, you want, obviously, if you're a parent, you want to be a role model for your kid, but you also don't want to be have your kid look at someone else who inspires them as well, and then look at that person and be like, well, that person's behaving like a horrible human being. Why is my kid inspired by that? But that's what has been fed through a lot of the media over the last decade or so.
By design, right? It's
yes,
that fourth turning stuff. It's time for the real heroes to inspire to come back, that have clear moral virtues.
It's out of desperation, because Hollywood felt like they got tired of seeing, the goody two-shoes hero. We need something with more edge, because they're desperate to try something new, which I don't begrudge the experimentation. But at some points you have to realize, like, just because you can do something doesn't mean you actually should do it.
Well, it kind of reminds me of how comics went back in the 90s, when everybody was an anti-hero all of a sudden. Superman was an anti-hero all of a sudden. Yeah. It's like, guys, give me a break with this.
Batman works as Batman. If everyone else is fucking good and shining, then he can be the bad boy.
Right. Ghost Rider, the Punisher, all these anti-heroes kind of popped up and got real popular real fast. And all of a sudden, every comic book company had to have every hero being an anti-hero, right? And people got tired of it, and they wanted the return of regular heroes again. And that's what they did. They finally gave the people what they wanted. And I think the studios are just finding this out now.